医学科でめっちゃ難しいじゃん。
Okay, is it a good time to start? Yeah, okay, let's get started. Oh. So, today is our third session, okay? And our final session next week will be practice. Okay? So that means that this is my final chance for teaching skills. Okay? So let's have a look at what we have to go through, and finally at the end of the session we will have another chance for a little bit of practice. Okay? So last week and today we are practicing in small groups, but next week we are hoping to have practice with you using the 3 screens. Okay? And it's a chance for you to give a presentation like it will be in the real experience, I guess. Okay. But today, let's just go through, and we'll start off with my presentation. So today I'm talking about analogy and metaphor. Okay? Analogy and metaphor means saying that one thing is like another. A is like B. That's an analogy. A metaphor is kind of using a story or a picture to do the same thing. Okay. So, like always, I'm starting off with a quick overview of our 4 sessions. So, in session 1, we looked at the difference between English and Japanese presentations. Using PowerPoint, basic skills, how big to make the letters, okay, what font you want to use, what colours to use, and how to answer questions. Okay. In session 2, that was last week, we looked at structuring your presentation and getting the chunk, the level of the picture right. To be honest, I think that this is the most important thing I can teach you for making your presentations easy to understand. Okay? It's really important to follow that structure of having a big picture, details, and then back to big picture. That will really help people to understand your presentation. We talked a little bit about body language last week. Okay? It's a little bit hard for me to demonstrate body language from behind the machines here and while you're looking the other way. But keep in mind that you might want to step out to use your hands. Today we're going to talk about analogy and metaphor and how this relates to technical vocabulary. Okay? And then finally in session 4 we will look at having a whole session for you to practice. So this is really a chance for you to go over it again and again and again. Just before we start with the main topic, here are some quick hints, okay? And some ideas for what I would call controlling your state. Okay? Controlling your state means feeling relaxed. Okay? When you're new to presenting, you'll probably find that stepping up on the stage is a little bit scary. Okay? There are a lot of people watching. And in order to relax, when you step up on the stage, you really want to think about some very small things. For example, your clothing. What are you going to wear? For all of the boys, all of the men, please wear a suit. Okay? That's your best option. For women, it can be a little bit more difficult because there are more options. Okay? If you have a suit, that's fine. But there are some other options for women that are okay. Now, the reason I link these together is that if you come to give your presentation and there are over 100 people sitting there watching, and you look around and you have on a nice shirt and jeans, but everybody else has on a suit, and you are the only one with no suit. You're not even speaking and you're starting to get stressed. Okay? So if you come and you are wearing a suit and everyone else is wearing jeans, no problem. You're still relaxed, right? A suit is always good. Okay? So to keep relaxed, you just want to make sure that you take care of the little things. Make sure you're wearing some respectable clothes, a suit. Brush your teeth. You just had onigiri and there are bits of nori in your teeth. Okay? Maybe there are no bits of nori in your teeth, but you just ate onigiri and you're thinking about nori. Is there nori in my teeth? I want to talk, but I just... Okay. It's not good. So to relax, it's important to make sure you have checked the little things, the unimportant things. Brush your teeth before you come up. Bring a toothbrush to school. Go to the toilet, quickly brush your teeth. Look in the mirror. Do I look okay? Okay. Do I need to blow my nose? Okay. Am I wearing my suit? Is the tie done up? Okay. Another trick is to think of a time when you've done something like this before. Okay. If you want to relax, think of a time you've given a speech before, maybe at your high school. Did it go okay? If it was a good memory and you remember that memory, you will start to relax. Okay. Another trick, be early. Okay? If you get there, you're on time, you're not late, but you are in a hurry, you're running. Okay? You start to sweat. Oh, now more stress. Oh, I'm sweating, I have to wipe my face. Maybe I look bad because I'm sweating, now more stress. Okay? If you want to relax when you give your speech, think of the little things. Your resources. Often when I give a speech or a presentation, I bring extra information in case I get asked a difficult question. Sometimes I want to check. Just a moment. I don't know the answer right now, but I can... oh, here it is. Okay? Usually, I don't use those resources, but having the books there makes me relax. People ask me questions. I don't have time to look in the book, but having the book makes me relax. Okay? So these are some things to think about that will help you relax. Your clothes, thinking of a time when you were doing something similar, okay, remembering a time, being early, bringing some resources, and number 2, practice. Practice, 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 practice. The more you practice, the better you get, the easier it is. Okay? This one is not correct. Sorry. It's okay. Okay, review last week. So we're going to quickly, today we're going to go over what we did last week. This one is slightly wrong. Okay? Sorry. Technical vocabulary, difference between presentation and paper. No, we're not going to do that. Okay? The other ones are correct. Today we're going to look at analogy and metaphor. Sorry, how that slipped in. Okay, so let's quickly review. One of the key things when you're thinking about your presentation is think of it as a 5-minute teaching session. Okay, we talked about this before. That means 10 to 20 seconds to introduce yourself. 30 to 40 seconds to introduce your topic. This is your big picture. 1 minute for each of 3 main points. And 1 minute for your conclusion. Not much time. Okay? You also get 5 minutes for questions. Remember I said one trick is if you don't have enough time, you can steal some question time. People ask you questions and you say, that's a very good question. And that reminds me, Also, you should know and do some more presentation. Okay? Last week I talked about the structure of your presentation. Big picture versus details. Often when people talk about an introduction, they say it should be the background, the history. Okay? I have a different way of explaining it. I think your introduction should be the big picture. It should answer the question, why? Why is this presentation important? Why did you do the research? Okay? And it should give the big picture. Then you should slowly move down into the details and give the main body of your presentation. Finally, you need to link the details to the big picture. That's your conclusion. Remember, if you start with too much detail, some people will not follow your presentation. If my topic is on inflammatory mediators in trip A1, and I start by talking about inflammatory mediators, H2O2, okay, then only specialists in trip channel microbiology will understand my presentation. But if I start talking about the big picture, all life on Earth needs to have some way of sensing information from outside itself. Then I work down. Okay? Look at the differences between sensing information as an organism using your eyes, your touch, your hearing, and how cells sense information. One cell in your eye. Trip channels are a way that cells sense information from outside the cell. Okay? Trip channels are in fact a type of ion channel. Trip A1 is one specific type of trip channel. One of the things that trip A1 senses is inflammation. Senses NO and H2O2, which cause inflammation. They are inflammatory mediators. If I start with that big picture and I work my way down, then it's possible for people to understand my presentation even though they're not microbiologists. That's why you need a big picture at the start of your presentation. It's like a funnel. If you have a big funnel, many people can come down to the details and listen to your presentation. That's what we did last week. You want to make sure that your presentation is aimed at your audience. In this case, specifically, you want to think about the judges so that you win. Okay? The judges will be looking at basically 3 areas. The content of your presentation, the way in which you present it, and the slides you use. When you think about the content, you want to think about things like, is it a new idea? Okay? Obviously, if you're simply giving information people already have, you won't get such a good reception from the judges. Is it relevant? Okay? Is it important to people? Use your big picture to make it more relevant to more people. When you give your presentation, you also want to be careful about pronunciation. This is very important when you're speaking to a large group. You don't have much time, but you still need to speak clearly and slowly. If we can't understand you, it doesn't matter how good your information is. Accuracy and fluency. It's important that you're careful about these 2 issues. I would suggest that you write out your speech to make sure that it is accurate. Check it with a friend. If possible, get a native speaker to check it. That will get you accuracy, no mistakes. To get fluency, you need to practice again and again and again. I suggest using a video camera. Watch yourself on the video camera after you've done a speech. Body language. Think of your body language beforehand. In your mind, map out how you'll move your hands and your body for each part of the speech. Keep it simple. For your slides, make sure that the format is simple and easy to understand. And pay particular attention to spelling and grammar. No mistakes on the slides, please. Mistakes in your spoken English is acceptable. A lot of mistakes is not good. But one or two mistakes will probably not have a large effect on your result or on how people understand you. But a mistake in your slides will. We also looked at questions. Okay? It's important to think about what kind of question you're being asked. If the question is a simple, basic question about your presentation, if someone cannot understand your presentation without understanding the answer to their question, you must answer that question. Sometimes questions are important, but the answer is long or difficult. Okay? In that case, you can't fully answer the question, but it's important that you show you know the answer. Give a quick answer, showing you understood the question and that you know the answer, even if people can't understand the answer well. Then tell them you will talk to them after your presentation. Finally, some questions are not important. People are interested in all kinds of different things, and you shouldn't waste time on these questions. Don't tell the person asking the question that their question is not important. Be polite. Thank you very much for your question. I would love to talk more about that, but I don't have time here. Can I speak to you after my presentation? So, today, our new topic, presenting with analogy and metaphor. Woo! Exciting. What is analogy or metaphor? Well, if you look up here, you will see that I have one of my favorite drinks. I think you say it arginine. Have you tried this drink? Who has tried this drink? How can I explain this drink to you? It's very difficult to explain, right? I could read you the contents, the ingredients, but would that tell you what it tastes like? How can I explain the taste? I can give you simple information like it's sweet, but many things are sweet. Well, the easiest way for me to explain what this drink is like is to use a metaphor. Do you know any other drinks that might be like this? For example, Decavita. Have you tried Decavita? Okay, most people have tried Decavita. Okay, this is like Decavita. Very quick, very simple explanation. Okay? It's like Decavita. If I try to tell you what this drink is like from zero, it's going to take a long time, and you probably won't understand at the end. So, forget about telling you 100% what this is like. I'm going to aim for 90%. It's like Decavita. 90% answer. That's a metaphor. Okay? Metaphor is part of how your brain works. In fact, I could tell you that all language is actually metaphor. Let me show you. The reason, there is an interesting story about this. The reason that all language is like a metaphor is because a long time ago, aliens came to Earth. You think I'm lying, right? But really, aliens came to Earth and they left a message in your DNA. And because you are human, you can understand language. It's because of aliens. I can see on your faces you think I'm crazy, right? So I'm going to prove it to you. Here are two letters, and these letters are from an alien alphabet. Have you ever seen these letters before? No. But I bet you know what they are called. One of these letters is called Kiki, and one of these letters is called Booba. One is called Kiki, and one is called Booba. Can you tell which one is Kiki? Is this one Kiki? Is this one Kiki? Let's get a vote. Who thinks this one is Kiki? Or one person? Who thinks this one is Kiki? Okay, everyone else. So that means most people think this is Booba. Well, that's amazing because that's correct. This is Booba and this is Kiki. And we can do this experiment all around the world. Whether your first language is Chinese, Indonesian, Kenyan, English, it doesn't matter. Everybody, nearly everybody. Usually we have a 95% success rate. Sometimes there is some mutation in the alien DNA and people don't know the answer. But all around the world, people will know that this is Booba and this is Kiki. Somehow, it just feels right. This one here is soft, and it feels like Boo-ba. And this one here is sharp, and it feels like ki-ki. It's because of the alien DNA in your body. Do you believe me? No, I'm afraid the real story is not as interesting as alien DNA, but it is very interesting. In the last few years, what neurobiologists have found is that in your brain there is a type of neuron called a mirror neuron. Okay? A mirror neuron enables you to see something and imagine how it feels. This is called a synesthesia, going from sight to feeling, or sound to feeling, or sound to sight. You might hear about people like Mozart. Some people say that Mozart could see music. I can't. I'm very bad at music. But definitely, when I see the television and I see somebody die, it feels bad. This is because I have mirror neurons. When we look at other animals, we find that humans have the most mirror neurons. And that the great apes, chimpanzees or orangutans, also have a large amount of mirror neurons. And that monkeys have large but not as much as the great apes. Of course, humans are just, one of the great apes. Other animals have less mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are what made language possible. The ability to see something or hear something and associate it with an image. A sound meaning an image. When I say the word cheer, you think of an image of a cheer. All language is about making these connections. It's all about metaphor. The way to explain this drink is to tell you it's like Decavita. The way to explain one thing is always by talking about another thing. So that's what we want to use today to make your presentations simple, short, and easy to understand. Okay, you only have 5 minutes. If you can use metaphor, it makes it a lot easier. Here is a simple definition of describing or defining something. Always when you're teaching something new, you will have to explain what new words mean, what new ideas mean. That's what teaching is. If there is nothing new, you are not teaching. When I teach at Kyoto University, I teach English. And often people think that that's different to when I teach in New Zealand. In New Zealand, I teach high school biology or high school economics. People think here in Japan I teach English, in New Zealand I don't teach English. It's not true. As a biology teacher, one of the main things I do is explain biology words to students. What is a cell? The word cell means I give a definition. If I teach economics, I have to teach economic concepts, economic ideas. What do the words mean? But when we teach something, we don't want to teach it from zero. Imagine if you are learning English. You already speak Japanese. There are so many things about a language that I don't have to tell you because you already speak Japanese. I just tell you where is English different to Japanese. Some words are different, some grammar is different, but there are so many things that are the same. In both English and Japanese, we have personal pronouns to talk about people. Okay? We have nouns, meshi, to talk about things. There is no difference between a noun in Japanese and a noun in English, except that the words are pronounced differently. So I don't have to tell you that. What I do have to tell you is that the word order is different. Okay? So defining in a general sense is simply pointing out the unequal distinguishing properties of a concept in a particular context. What that means is what is different to what you already know. We don't teach everything. Bubar and Kiki. Now, I'm going to use metaphors in science as an example of metaphor because science is full of metaphors. The first one I'm going to use is the cell, cybol. In English, we have a word cell, and the word cell comes from the Latin cellula, okay, meaning a small room. So in Latin, a cell was a small room. Currently, cell is used to mean the smallest living biological structure. And it was it was started by Robert Hooke. Okay, and it says there, 1665. Okay. There's the quote down below. That's just the first time the word cell was used. Now, what happened is that Robert Hooke was looking at cork cells. So cork is like when you have wine, and in the top of it you have a cork. This is a kind of tree. And when he looked at this tree under a microscope, he noticed that there were lots of different little rooms, it seemed, the material he was looking at. And he didn't know what to call them, but they looked like little rooms. Okay? So that's how it became a cell. Now, when we say cell, we don't think we are using a metaphor. Okay? If I'm a biology teacher, I say, okay, today we're going to study cells. I think I'm just using a normal English word, the word cell. But cell is a metaphor. Okay? Let's have a look at how I might explain cells. Okay? Well, this seems to be what happened in the English language. Also useful for drinking. Yes, tastes like Decavita. A little bit stronger. So, a monk's cell is a monk's room. When people first looked at honeycomb, they noticed that the little wee pieces of the honeycomb looked like a monk's cell. Monks don't have lots of furniture or televisions. The cell is basically empty. So honeycomb was called a cell, right? A honeycomb cell. When Robert Hooke looked at the cell of cork, which you can see on the right there, he thought, this looks like honeycomb. Okay, they are all on different sizes. A monk's cell is very big, honeycomb is small, but you can see it. To see a cork cell, you need a microscope, really, to see it like this. That's under a microscope. So that's how the word was used, even though actually it's a metaphor. Here is a metaphor for how to describe the parts of a cell. So as a biology teacher, I have to tell people what parts are there in a cell. Okay? So this is a metaphor called the cell city. So I could try and explain all the different parts of a cell, but it's much faster if I give people a metaphor. I start off by saying a cell is like a city. Just like a city, there are different parts inside the cell. In a city, you have a power plant, number 3, I think that is up there, top right. Now, the job of a power plant in a city is to generate electricity for the city to use. In a cell, you have what's called the mitochondria. Okay, can you think in Japanese? How do you say mitochondria? Basically the same. Mitochondria. Okay. So, the mitochondria is the power plant of the cell. It creates energy. In a city, you have the city hall. The city hall is the place where decisions are made about where things will go in the city. Town planning. They have a blueprint for the city. And they say, well, there are people living in one part of the city. We don't want to have the rubbish dump next to their houses. We would put the rubbish dump near the industrial area where all the factories are, because the rubbish dump smells bad. That's the job of the city council. In a cell, that job is done by the nucleus. Okay? Inside of the nucleus is the DNA. The DNA is like a blueprint. It shows where things should go. So, in explaining a cell, I might be talking to some young children. It's very hard for them to understand what a cell is. But even young children understand what a city is. They live in a city. They see the city every day. So that they can understand the cell quickly and easily, all I want to do is show them that a cell is like a city. Okay? And that makes it a lot easier for them to understand. That's my metaphor. If we go through, I can show you quickly all of the different parts of a cell. Okay? Construction site are the ribosomes. They build new structures. Transportation company, the endoplasmic reticulum, carries materials from one place to another. Okay? So, you can see how I use a metaphor of a city to explain the cell. In science, we do this all the time. Let's have a look at some. Flowing water. This is a metaphor. What is the scientific concept that I am explaining if I'm using the metaphor of flowing water? What do you think? What is like flowing water? What science am I trying to teach if I say it's like flowing water? That's correct. Yes, the word is current. Electrical current. Okay, so electricity. Electrical current. Like water. Water only goes downhill. Electricity only goes from positive to negative. Is that the right way around? So, if you want to explain electricity, which is very difficult for children, you can't say, oh, please touch the electricity. But you can show them water. Even very young children have played with water, so they understand how does this work. A wave in the sea. Okay? What is it that I'm trying to explain? What is the science?
Light or sound.
Hmm?
Light or sound.
Exactly. Light or sound, or one more. Light, sound, or...
Radio.
Yes.
Radio wave.
Yes, radio wave too. So light or sound or radio, okay? These are all waves. They move in a wave like the waves on an ocean. One follows the other. There is a distance between the waves. A wall, like a wall. What idea am I trying to explain with this?
The wide which don't transport electricity.
Ah, okay. That's not my answer. Okay, something, a non-conductive material is like a wall. Okay, yes, that's one way of thinking. That's not my answer though. I think there is a more simple answer. Think biology. skin definitely, that is one of, it's not what I have written down here, but definitely we say that the skin, we don't usually say wall, we say barrier. Okay, so a barrier is like a wall. It's some way of stopping people getting through. Usually we say barrier. In this case, I would usually be talking about the cell wall. Okay, so if you think of a cell, a plant cell has what's called a cell wall. That gives the cell its shape. That's one difference between an animal cell, which has a membrane, which is also like a wall, and a plant cell. Highways, motorways.
Neuron.
Ah, neuron, yes. We do use it for that. It's not what I have written here, but that's a perfect answer. Yes, we do say that the neurons in your brain are like a highway for thought. One other one? That's the one I have here. Blood vessels. Okay? Because the blood transports nutrition around the body, just like a highway transports things around a city or a country. A blueprint.
DNA.
Yes. We say DNA is like a blueprint for your body. Police force. Yes?
White blood cell.
Immune system, white blood cells, yes. Okay. A peach. What science might I be teaching if I said something is like a peach? Cell. I haven't used a peach to say cell. Often we use grapes to say cell. So maybe you can use a peach. Cells are like a grape. They have a skin, which is like the membrane, and then they have inside like jelly. Could be, but I'm thinking of something different in this case. Different kind of science, not biology.
Earth.
Layers of the earth. In a peach you have the core, the pip, the stone in the middle, like the molten middle of the earth. Okay? You have different layers. So if you want to teach what the earth is like to a young child and they don't know, you can say it's like a peach. Cut open the peach, show them the layers. Very quick. A camera, this is easy. Eye. The eye is like a camera. Computer. Yes?
Brain.
Brain. So we often say the brain is like a computer. And for example, if you try and do too many things at once, you exceed your RAM, your random access memory. Sometimes I use Macintosh. Macintosh doesn't freeze as much as Windows did. When I use Windows, if I open up many, many different screens, the computer stops, right? Like your brain. If you try and use too many different ideas, think about too many things at once, your brain stops. So far, I haven't managed to do it to my Apple. I'm sure I will soon. Okay, so those are some scientific concepts and some metaphors we use to explain them quickly. Okay, here are some metaphors. Here are some topics. What is a metaphor you could use to describe this? Life is like a travel, like a trip. Yes, okay. Life is like, in English, the word we usually use for that metaphor, this is a common metaphor, life is like a journey. Okay? So along the way, you see many things. Like travel, yes. Life is like a journey. What are some other ways of explaining life? Life is like... Some people say life is like a garden. If you look after the plants, water them and care for them, it will grow big and beautiful. If you look after the things in your life, it will grow big and beautiful. Some other people say life is like a battle, like a war. You have to fight to win. You can see how powerful metaphors are. If you say life is like a journey, then every experience is fun, new, exciting. If you say life is like a war, then you are always fighting. Metaphors can be quite powerful. They control how you think. What about learning a language? Learning a language is like...
Riding a bicycle.
Riding a bicycle, wow, okay. So that might mean once you've done it, you never forget?
Yeah.
Okay. It's hard at first,
Yeah.
but once you get the hang of it, it's very fun.
Ah.
Yeah, learning a language is like riding a bicycle. So if you have some young child who has never learnt a language, and they come to you and they say, what is learning a language like? Huh? How do I explain that? Learning a language is like, well, it's like riding a bicycle. Can you ride a bicycle? Yes. The economy. What is the economy like? Like the universe. Wow, very big metaphor. How is it like the universe?
Economy, including many parts, for example, society or society and person, and economy is made by their organic relations.
Okay, so their organic relation, their changing relation makes it. So it's like the universe, made from many different things. Okay. A nuclear reaction is like... What is a nuclear reaction like? Sudden...
Satanic meal.
One more time?
Satanic meal. M-I-L-L.
Mill.
Meal.
Okay. Nuclear reaction is like a what mill? Like a...
If I the goods to use in order to make soba.
Soba.
noodle,
Okay.
Put the some plant and
Mill, yes.
and you can make the soba.
Soba, okay. So a nuclear reaction is like that? Oh, okay. Okay, I haven't heard that one before. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes we say a nuclear reaction is like a snowball. If you're on a ski field on the top of a mountain and there is snow, and you make a little ball and you roll it, slowly it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes downhill. Okay? This is called the snowball effect. So a nuclear reaction is like a snowball because once it starts, you have many atoms. One atom explodes, shoots off a few more, they shoot off more and more. It's exponential. It goes up and up and up, gets faster and faster. So it's like a snowball, we say. Okay, here's a fun one. Love. What is love like?
Politics.
Like politics. Wow, careful girls. Love is like politics. Why is love like politics?
In love, there are at least two actors, and the purpose of the actors is different from actor to actors, and
Okay, yeah.
eager to reach their goals.
Okay.
They sometimes cooperate, but they sometimes battle to each other.
Right. So love is like politics because you have different perspectives, different ideas. Sometimes they are going together, but sometimes they are fighting each other. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, yep. Anything else love is like? Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Being a student is like... What is being a student like? Sorry, I couldn't hear. Sanagi.
One become a butterfly, but one become sanagi and will be butterfly.
The word is cocoon or chrysalis. Okay. Chrysalis. Okay, so being a student is like being a chrysalis. Ah, because you're in the middle of transforming from being a child to being an adult?
Yes.
Something like that? Wow, okay, interesting, very interesting. Okay, what are entrance exams like? University entrance exams?
Climbing a mountain.
Like climbing a mountain. Because it's hard work,
Yeah.
but when you get to the top,
But after that, you go down to.
it's all downhill, all easy after that. Yes, yes, once you are into Kyoto University, it's all easy. Classes are easy, really.
It's not true of law faculty.
Are you sure? Okay, that's good, that's good. What is Kyoto University like?
I think it's like a dance hall.
Like a dance hall.
Yeah.
What, why?
There are variety of people, and you can see anyone you want to see. Even he or she is a professor, he or she is a graduate student,
Right.
or faculty students, or some extra lecture, and you can get to know a lot of people. So I
Right.
think it's like a dance hall.
Okay, okay. That's interesting. I think there's something of that, and you can learn from that, because one thing I always say to students at Kyoto University is that there are so many different things you can do at Kyoto University. If you come to Kyoto University, then although the song might be the same at the dance hall, and everybody is doing the same dance, everybody does the dance differently. So depending on who is your partner, your dance will be different. So if you come to Kyoto University, you should be very careful about what classes you take. It's very important. Students often just do whatever classes. Oh, do this one, do this one. To me, it's very important what classes you take to find out what kind of an experience you will have at Kyoto University. Yeah? Okay. Any other metaphors for Kyoto University? Okay, well, that's basically what a metaphor is about. And please remember that your presentation is different to a paper. You remember right at the start I said one of the big differences between a paper and a presentation is that if you use difficult vocabulary in a paper, people can use a dictionary. They can take their time and check the meaning. But when you're giving a presentation, people don't have that control over their own learning. So rather than using very difficult technical vocabulary, I suggest you use metaphor. You explain what things are like. Okay? Because people don't have time to check, and you don't have time to explain in other ways. So make sure your metaphor is useful to your audience. Okay? Make sure they can understand it. If you're talking to young children, some metaphors will be useful, some will not. Okay? If you're talking to young children, you can't say, oh, well, that's like falling in love. It's not a useful metaphor to them. They have never fallen in love. Also, remember that your audience doesn't have control when you're presenting. So metaphors are a good way to give them some understanding. Okay. Finally, I would like you to take a couple of minutes and think of your presentation and the main things you are trying to teach. What are some metaphors for your topic? What are some things you can use to explain your topic? For example, at the start of today, I talked about trip channels. Trip channels are a type of ion channel. Ion channels are kind of like a gateway in the cell membrane. They allow some things in and some things out, and stop other things. Okay, so a good metaphor for an ion channel is that it's like a door or a gateway in the cell membrane. Okay? That's a very quick way to explain what it does. If I explain metaphor using a metaphor, I can tell you that a metaphor is like a picture. In English we say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So a metaphor immediately gives someone a picture to explain something. So with one metaphor, it's like saying 1,000 words. So think about your topic. What are 2 or 3 metaphors to explain either your big picture or some detail of your topic? Okay, take a couple of minutes and think of some metaphors. Okay, let's check. So, tell us some metaphors for your topic. Just one is enough. It could be either for the whole topic or for one specific point in your topic. What ideas do you have? Yeah?
Multiple logistic regression analysis is like the growing beans experiments you experienced of in science class of elementary school.
Okay.
You grow up a lot of beans, and then you know why a beans grow up or it doesn't grow up. It's just like multiple logistic regression analysis.
Okay. So that's much easier for someone to understand if they have done the bean growing experiment in primary school, high school, primary school,
Elementary school.
elementary school, yeah. Then that's much easier than difficult statistics. Yeah, good. Okay, anybody else? Yes.
I compare the two. Self-catering is like a servant and eating out is like a king.
Self-catering is like
Servant.
Ser-
Servant. Servant.
servant.
They really have to cook or
Yep.
go to some home. They need to many things.
Okay.
But in eating out, they need not do anything for like king.
So like a king, you can relax and okay. Okay, yeah. Very nice. So self-catering is like having to do a servant's work, and eating out is like being king. Okay. Any other metaphors? Yes.
Mouse and instruments.
No.
Mouth and
Mouth is
and
like an instrument.
and
Ah.
Foreman. This is the peak of frequency of peak of frequency spectrum.
Yeah.
And this is metaphor. This depends on the shape of mouth.
Yeah.
So using this value, we can understand what the going is. So this is this can be the metaphor. This can be metaphor. What the instrument is the instrument is depend on the sound.
Okay. Right. So it might be like a saxophone or a flute, or the shape of the where the air moves through is like your mouth. Okay. Okay, well, we'll stop there because I just want to take time for you to do a practice, okay, once each way. But my suggestion is that if you work through your presentation, if you start with a big picture, go down to the details, go back up to the conclusion, relating the details to the big picture, and if you use metaphor to explain the difficult ideas, then you should be able to do this in 5 minutes and be able to give people a very good understanding of your topic. Okay? So those are some key skills. Also, please remember that you want to be careful about the basic ideas. You want to make sure that your font size is readable. Okay? You want to make sure that if you're using an Apple computer and the presentation will go through a Windows computer, that you have checked your presentation, that they don't change, or the other way around. Okay? All those basic things that we talked about in the first session. Okay, let's get into pairs. So please get into a different pair to last time. Okay, make sure you're with a different person. And we're going to take 5 minutes each way to present your presentation. Okay, so this is just practice time. Okay, so a different person to last time. You can use your computer, or if you have any paper to show, or just speaking. That's all it needs. Make sure that you have an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. That's really important. Okay? After that, please ask at least one question. So listen, ask at least one question. 5 minutes each way. Okay, find someone you didn't work with last time. We need one person. Okay.
メニュー見て、そのメニューがあってまずメニュー作り方を勉強して、
So, I'll stop you there. One very important problem for many presentations is time. Okay? So we had 20 minutes, and I told you to ask one question. So we should have had plenty of time for everyone to do a 5-minute presentation. But we didn't. Okay? So be very careful. We have timekeeper for the event.
Of course.
Boo-boo, you're out of time, please stop. It's not good. Okay? Running out of time is a very big problem. There's not much for me to say about it. There is no special skill. You have to practice and make sure that you're on time. Okay? Make sure your timing is correct. That's all I can say. So for today we will finish up. There are a couple of things that people need to be careful about in this area. Really need to speak louder. Okay? You need to get up in front of a microphone and check. This is often a problem for girls. Okay? Make sure you know, are you speaking loud enough? I don't know, maybe when you get on the stage there is no problem, but here you sound too quiet, both of you. Okay? So, of course I'm very loud. When I teach, I always shut the doors. If I leave the door open, everybody in the whole building hears my lesson. Even with the door shut, I think the people next door don't listen to their teacher, they listen to me. But you do have to be loud enough to be heard. That's important. And next week we'll have more time for questions. Okay? Next week I want you to be doing a PowerPoint presentation. So we have 3 screens. We can have 3 groups going at once. So next week be ready for a PowerPoint. Okay? Even if it's bad. Okay? Even if you're not really ready. It's still good to practice. Get some questions. Get some practice with being asked hard questions. Anyway, we have past time, so let's finish up. Please have a nice week, and I'll see you next week for our final session. Thank you.